in the late 19th century. The last specimen was shot down in 2022. The other two antelopes you see on the screen are two North African antelopes. The first one, in the central part of the slide, is the scimitar horn oryx for the typical shape of her horns. Was listed by UCN as extinct in nature, but thanks to the survival of some specimen in captivity, an attempt was done to carry out a reproduction project into the wild, and today some specimens occur in some protected areas of Tunisia, Morocco, and Senegal. The other antelopes, called habdaks, was listed in 2016 by UCN Red List of Threatened Species as critically endangered. Recent droughts, desertification of savanna lands, increase of human population, and combat sports have led to its decrease throughout its distribution range. This slide shows some endangered species. The figures of the striped hyena and the white rhino allude to the progressive extinction of the two species subject to indiscriminate persecution by man due to false popular beliefs. In fact, both the species have been exterminated, causing a regression and increasing the mortality throughout the distribution area. The demand for biological part for economic and commercial purpose feed the black market trafficking for wild animals. It highlights the dramatic consequences of an extermination perpetrated on the basis of erroneous scientific convictions, such in the case of the commercialization of rhino horns to which healing power are attributed, or in the case of the action of human vanity when animals are killed to be exhibited as hunting trophies, or magical popular beliefs fed by the popular superstition. The Montagnala, the last antelope you see on the right side, one of the most elegant antelope in nature, survives exclusively in small groups in the mountain range of central Ethiopia. This slide shows some giraffe patterns that I choose to represent because giraffes have been recently defined by naturalists as the grateful rather for the fact of not being considered among the endangered species, although they are gradually disappearing. Despite their height is in fact a sign of a biological evolution aimed at finding a nutritional resource, they are among the living species that are better adapted to climate change and represent the result of the evolutionary adaptation. Thanks to their capacity of withstand the most extreme conditions, they are able to survive in environments poor livelihood sources and high form of vegetation, such as savannas and deserts. Giraffes represent the survivability, but symbolically, with their long neck, represent the needs to rise at transcendent dimension to which man can rejoin only from nature. In the slide, you can see the different types of pattern and coloration belonging to the home range of the different subspecies. The West African, in the sub-Saharan part, reticulated at one time widespread in the Horn of Africa. Kordofan, just present in Cameroon, and the Maasai in the central part of the slide in Kenya and Tanzania. This slide shows one of my greatest naturalistic passions, hyenas. Hyena was known in the ancient world and one of the first animals to be represented on the cave painting of primitive man and to represent ancestral human fears. Ancient Romans called it crocuta, that is today the scientific name of the spotted hyena, the largest subspecies of hyena in Africa. And they knew very well its nocturnal laughter, from which the Latin term hyena Striped hyena, the most endangered species among the 4 living species of hyena, evokes many superstition fears caused to the documented case to injuries to humans, killing of children, and grave robbery. This species is often illegally killed because of supposed medical properties, therefore high prices are paid to be traded on the black market. The species is often illegally killed because of used for traditional healing and killed for the damage inflicted on livestock by the nomads of the desert. Causes of mortality of the species are poisoning, poaching, depletion of food sources, combat sport, and hunting by nomads. Today, people kill hyenas for the generalized hatred toward the genus. My passion for this animal, born during childhood, when I saw for the first time the image of the animal on the alphabet book. It was my first class of elementary school. Its characteristic somatic shape and the characteristic sagittal crest that runs along to the backbone to the tail always sparked my interest, perhaps for its wildness. Socially speaking, hyena represent the power of matriarchy and the strength of social aggregation. In fact, as we know, the hyena society is characterized by a matriarchal structure and polyandric behavior. In 2014, during one of my trips to Africa, I happened to listen a spoken testimony relates to the practice of feeding of the herd of hyena during the premarital rite in some parts of Africa. In fact, in southern Morocco, brides consume the herd of hyena to gain strength before the marriage. Millions of striped hyena were exterminated during the 18th and 19th century with the use of strychnine poison that are decimating the population that are reduced today to under 80,000 specimens throughout the distribution area. These following slides show the theme of landscape desertification, a problem that affects not only Africa but all those areas called hotspots. Deserts are gradually becoming metaphysical space deprived of life forms due to the advancement of phenomena of overheating and desertification. According to the World Atlas of Desertification, the 75% of the Earth's surface is today affected by desertification. This phenomena depends on several factors, such as the lack of eco-sustainable methods, depletions of terrains and form of vegetation, use of energy forms deriving from fossil fuels, seabed exploitation, deforestation, and advancement of fire, which affect the ecosystem with the release of CO2 into the atmosphere and contribute to the alteration of the carbon cycle and the intensification of the climate change. This slide shows a series of sketches and painting on climate change. Among these, you can see some animals that escape from flames, allusion to the widespread phenomenon of fire in the world. Or the suffering penguin that show his suffering state because it has lost its habitat and is gradually giving away to a desert. Or the dromedary remain isolated on an island due to the huge increase in water caused by overheating and the consequent ice melting. Then follow the sun-scorched land that has lost its biological characteristic and show its dry crust, or a giraffe with the tied legs, allusion to the wildlife resilience and human manipulation. But I want to focus on two drawings, very significant for me, that are the bears whose changing color in the coat express the inability of the animal themselves to adapt to change, but also the strangeness of a nature with no more seasons. Or the last that represent my homeland, the point of the Italian peninsula, the Calabrian region, from which comes out a giraffe that somehow supports it as if it were a burden to carry, allusion to the crystallized culture in its cultural heritage, but also denunciation of the political corruption and clientelism of its politic. The last slide summarizes the expression of inner happiness achieved by the ancient people through the relationship, the symbiotic relationship with nature. These famous female figures, as the face of the Queen Nefertiti, called by the Egyptian people the lady with the luminous face for being so loved for her people, or the Etruscan goddess Latona, mother of the god Apollo. These female figures, although belonging to different artistic traditions, show some features of styles that unites the east part to the west part of the Mediterranean area during the archaic phase of history, the 6th century BC, and that distinguishes them from the subsequent artistic productions. The Mother Latona had imprinted on her face the famous archaic smile, and although the figures have the almond-shaped eyes, these features of styles were an expression of an era of prosperity and inner enjoyment that already the ancient people defined golden age to their ability to live in harmony with nature. So maybe today we should learn more by looking at this example of beauty and idol of wisdom. I would to special thanks my moderator Maria Sarbo and all the staff of the West University, the Faculty of Arts and Design of the West University of Timisoara. Thank you.